Right, good evening and welcome. AGG Live, 9 o'clock again, UK time. Thanks for joining me. Tonight's subject, we're talking tech in golf coaching. So we're talking about technology in golf coaching. So I've got my GC2 HMT here. I use Body Track as well, and I've used other launch monitors. It's maybe something which is quite misunderstood and misrepresented on TV and in the media and what have you. We've got the normal chat in front of me here. We've got some Twitter feeds coming through as well, so I'll be answering questions via Twitter all night as well. And I've got some pre-arranged questions which people have been asking all day on Twitter also, which is quite exciting. So let's talk to you a little bit before I start about my ideas of tech in coaching. Lots of people who watch my videos probably know I use quite a lot of tech. It's something that I'm really keen on for students. It's something I think really helps students a lot understand how to improve their game, how to kind of really focus on the right aspects of the game. And it also allows me to really dial in quite quickly to quite major improvements, much quicker than ever before I used tech in tuition. So let's talk to you a little bit about my tech I am using. So first of all, I'm using GC2 HMT. This is a camera-based launch monitor. So we've got two cameras at the front here that spot ball, and then we've got two cameras at the front of this little unit here. This is the head unit, which will this spots the club. Anyone who watches my videos, I'm just going to try something here which we tried yesterday and it didn't really work that well, so hopefully it'll work a little better today. I've got my iPad, so let's just if I bring this across to give you a closer look at it. iPad cam, you can tell me if this is working people's better. I've hopefully got it fixed from yesterday. So here we go. This is my GC2 HMT close look. So there's two cameras here that are spotting ball, and then you get a little display face here with some buttons on the front, which I don't really use because I connect it to my iPad for the data that it spits out. And then you've got these two cameras here are looking at club. And this is why, it's a very common question that I get, this is why I have the dots on lots of the clubs you'll see in the videos, because the machine is actually reading those dots. It's seeing those dots as the club face. So that's the machine I'm using, GC2 HMT. Now I've used all of the launch monitors. So I have used, there we go, I'm back with you. I have used Trackman, and it's still around, and I've used Flight Scope as well. So I've got kind of quite a good understanding of all the launch monitors out there. And there's a lot of people who kind of get a little bit caught up on one being better than the other. I mean, for me, what the tech does is it allows me to measure a student in a way that I understand. So it doesn't matter if I'm using Trackman and GC2 HMT. I've used a lot more, so I understand their patterns. Both the machines give good readings and also bad readings. It's about the coach's ability to read when you're getting a good reading and a bad reading, subject to strike and many other things, the ball not being correct. Now, the reason I use the camera-based system is it works indoors and outdoors. Now, I do a lot of club testing indoors as well as outdoors, so I need one which is very robust for both situations. When I was buying, Trackman was maybe not as robust indoors. It's better now than GC2 HMT. The other thing I love about GC2 HMT is it is seeing strike. All my tuition starts from strike and works out. So where the player hits, then I'm looking at how their face path is delivered, angle of attacks, and many other numbers to them, how they move their body and other aspects of their swing. But it's starting at strike. And this machine sees strike. GC2 actually with the dots on the face, and this machine here, this with the head measuring unit, not just this unit on its own. If it's just GC2, that's just ball. But this bit watches, my telly is trying to go on standby, so I'm just going to stop it from doing that, not going on standby. So I love the fact that it sees strike, where the other radar systems that sit behind the ball, they don't see strike. So they're watching the ball go, and then they're extrapolating the data from what they think the club would have done from that launch data. I love working from strike count. That doesn't mean this one is better, it's just the system that I'm using to try and help me improve my teaching and my students as quick and as effectively as possible. And for anyone who watches my live lessons, you probably see how quickly sometimes people change very simple ideas with path when they've been trying for years on certain position-based movements. Other bits of tech I use K-Vest, which is a body mapping system, so it's like putting sensors on your body, so it shows you how far you're turning, sequences you're turning, say hips, shoulders and hands. And I also use a body track pressure mat, which is a mat that you stand on, which allows me to get an idea of how that player is pushing on the ground. They're very invisible forces. You can't use camera really to see those. So I like to measure them just to try and give me a bit more ammo to help people hit better shots. And that I find body track is really good at helping me improve people's strikes, almost better than the launch monitor. The launch monitor is better for face to path, angle of attack, dynamic lofts, spin rates, all those kind of things, where the pressure mat really gives me some good ideas of how they're pushing in the ground, moving their pressures to try and align the moving CG of the club up with that stationary CG of the ball, basically, so hit a sweet strike. So there's some ideas around where I use tech. We're going to go into some questions which I've got. Before we do that, we're just going to show some user pictures who are watching. I love these live shows, and I love the fact that you guys are all interacting. I can see the chat rooms going off and Twitter. I'm not refreshing it enough, but it's definitely going off a lot. It's really good to see you all interacting, and I hope you're getting something from these, and these shows will keep developing as I keep developing my ideas, skills of self-producing these shows. So let's start with some of the audience. I asked you earlier on Twitter to send over any of your pictures of you watching. So we've got Daniel, I can't remember your surname, Daniel James maybe, great picture, thanks for watching. We got Mark Coyle, I think it is, what a fantastic picture, glove on. Who wouldn't have your glove on while watching one of my fantastic live feeds? This is Harry Thomas, I think it was. Thanks for sending, Harry. You were the first one to send. Thank you very much. Ricky Israel, what a picture from Ricky Israel. Is that your real name, Ricky? I hope it is. It's a great name. Tech My Golf. And if you're going to do a selfie, definitely the sillier the face, the better. And then Dave, eat my tea on my lap fiver, roast my dinner, watching while eating his dinner. So thanks for everyone who's sending them in, and thanks for everyone who's watching. So let's get into a few questions. Here's some of the best ones that I've picked out from people who have been posting throughout the day, and then we'll go into some live ones as well. Here we go. This is a great question. DSW says, why did you quit using Trackman and go to GC2 system? Seems all the pro teachers use it instead of GC2. Interesting question. Do they? That's a very interesting one. I think Trackman do very well at marketing the fact that lots of people use it. I mean, to name some names that I know who have used GC2 HMT, I think the Harmons are using it, so Butch, Claude. I'm pretty sure Martin Hall is using it from the Golf Channel. There's a few tour pros who own a system as well. I know lots of very good teachers who are using it as much as the other ones. The reason I stopped using Trackman and went to GC2 HMT, there was a few reasons. One was my situation. Indoors and outdoors combination at the time, GC2 for me was better for that. The other one is I love the fact that it gets club face, it sees club face and it sees strike and works that into the data. Trackman sitting behind the ball, not seeing strike, just using launch direction. I can use it for teach. I don't like having to spray the club or mark the club particularly all the time. I like a record of strike over time to show people how their strikes have changed throughout, say, a 2-hour lesson. If you're spraying the face, you can't keep that data over 2 hours. So that's one of the reasons why I use it. There's a good question there. Golf Guy 076, Rick Shields uses it. Yeah, I think I've seen Rick Shields using it as well. You know, there's loads of good coaches using this as much as the other ones. I just think Trackman is very good at marketing its product very well, which makes you guys think it's all being used. The reason I changed, I like the fact it's seen strike. I like its robustness for indoors and the outdoors as well. I like its form factor being very small also. So let's go on to another question. That was a good question. We've got Steve Pearson says, with all the tech available, does it measure all you need it to do, or is there something else you would like to see? Great question. There is. I would like to see, so I've got the dots on my club, which this camera space system's using. This is seeing the ball, but I want dots up the club, and there are systems that do this, but they're super expensive, and I'm hopefully going to get to go on one of them very soon, actually in the new year, which I'm really excited about. But I want to be able to show students what their handle is doing as well as just their face, because I'm often talking about how the handle relates to the face and how they're delivering it. So I would really like to see the dot systems going up the handle, so up the whole club. It'll allow me to see and show you guys how shaft is making differences or not. That old chestnut, which everyone loves. And also then dots out onto the body. Now I've got systems that monitor the body in KVS, but when you've got it in 3 different systems, or 2 different systems, it gets a little bit confusing to compile the data in a way to deliver it to a student that might help them play some better golf. So I'd like it all more in one place. So yeah, I would like to see it branching out in its dots. I would like to see it do putting and things like that as well. So yes, absolutely, there is more. It's about finance, guys. These machines are expensive, and the bigger ones up from there are very expensive. So another question here, this was on Facebook. Jamie asked, now I'm not sure if he's asking about club tech here or teaching tech, but we're trying to answer both. In your opinion, what is the best bit of golf tech that any company has come up with? Now I'm pretty sure he's thinking golf club tech there, isn't he? But if we're going to talk golf club tech, titanium drivers was a breakthrough. Just going to metal drivers was a massive breakthrough, wasn't it? And I think the ping answer putter, how many times has that putter been copied by every manufacturer? The ping answer putter is a classic putter, which I think really changed the world of golf and putting in lots of ways. Now, if we're talking about tech for coaching, which is what the show is more about, I would say it's not so much the tech, it's more the change of the language and understanding which this tech all brought into coaching. And I think Trackman really is the one that we would all thank. I certainly would thank. Great names like Frederick Tuxon, who then got, there's loads of great coaches out there who started talking in some fantastic language. Trackman Maestro, check him out on Twitter, he's fantastic and done some great videos. Brian Manzella, again brilliant. They were Trackman users, came online, started talking in the language really that made a lot of sense. 3-dimensional club head delivery, which definitely all came from Tuxon. So Frederick Tuxon helped or did develop Trackman. I think, don't quote me on this, he came from a ballistics, more scientific background. And often in golf, it's the people who get their golf heads off and look at it from other angles that actually do really change the way golf is kind of delivered to you. So for me, it's those terms, the face the path, the new ball flight laws, all those ideas were the biggest kind of tech breakthroughs for me as a coach, really. And I think for you as students in lots of ways. So we've got 3 more questions before we go into the live ones. Keep posting. This is a great question from Ewan, who takes part in lots of the stuff we do. AGG Live hashtag. What do you think of the home launch monitors like Earnest Sports and SkyTrack? Would you review and compare to GC2? Now I have done tests on one of those 2, and they're pretty good, to be honest. Very good. The trouble with those systems is they're not so good often when it comes to club. So this system on its own, when it just measures ball, I think you can get systems nowadays which are getting quite close to it. Nothing gets close to this when it comes to head in those home use markets. Now for me, this machine without the head unit as a coach is worthless. I need the head data with the ball data personally. On all the machines I've tried, which are budget based, home based use, when they try to deliver club numbers, they are just wild. They hit some numbers, but they're generally just wild. Club head speed can be got quite often, but not path, face path, angle of attack, those kind of things. You do then need to start spending the money. So for me and those devices, if you like, it's much more about what is the use. Why do you want to use it? What do you want to use it for? If it's just club head speed and distances, maybe there's other ways of doing that, but they can somehow help you a little bit. But certainly not for club delivery. So face the path, angle of attack, dynamic loft, all those kind of things. generally not that great. Okay, another question. Spencer says, can you always trust launch monitors? Got gap tested and all my irons were 10 yards longer than I think they go. Okay, that's a very good question actually. So can you trust launch monitors? I have this question a lot. I have people say, well, I tried this club, and this one upsets me a little bit online as well. And I see it in some videos, and I see it in people's chats and comments, and it's really, I think it's quite misleading for people. They say, oh, I tried this club and I hit it 20 yards further than the other one, or I hit it 15 yards further than the other one, or I did X, Y, Z further than the other one. Now, was it under the same situation? So was it the same machine? So different machines might be producing different numbers. So I know, say, this machine and Trackman deliver very similar, if not identical, numbers on ball distance often, subject to weather, because this doesn't. Trackman uses a normalised system. So Trackman's better if you're going kind of in weather conditions. You want to know how far the ball goes into the wind. This one won't do it. I'll just tell you how far the ball goes, because it only measures 18 centimetres of flight. So this is more of a kind of controlled environment. So they're coming from a shop which is using some system I've never heard of, or some system I have heard of and I know it's not great, and they're delivering X club head speed and X, Y, Z distances and all those kind of things. That worries me a little bit. Just to give you an example, club head speed on GC2 HMT is different to club head speed on Trackman, because they're measuring different points of impact. So which one is right and which one is wrong is a pointless discussion, because they're actually not measuring the same point. So anyone who's out there trying to say that this one's wrong and that one's right, when it comes to the kind of three top ones, they're kind of not getting the point, because they're not all measuring at the same point of impact, so they shouldn't be the same. It's more that your coach, or if you're using it, understand the data that it's delivering. That's often where they get tripped up. So yes, you can Trackman you can trust, GC2 HMT you can trust, Flight Scope pretty much you can trust. I mean, when you start moving away from those three, I'm maybe not the best person to speak to, but yeah, they're not as good as those three. So we're going to go one more question here before we go into live ones. So this is a question here from Richard Moore. I find SkyPro really useful for range sessions. Love the data. Will these gadgets replace coaches entirely? Robo coach. And I've had a few questions along this lines. One from a golf coach actually saying, will launch monitors finally replace golf coaches? 100% not. Anyone who thinks that way, in my opinion, doesn't understand coaching. My job as a coach is about reading a person. It's about delivering a message to a person in a way that will get the best out of them. There is going to be no machine, in my lifetime at least, that will be able to read a person like I can, or other good coaches can, or other coaches can. So human to human is what I mean. Read a person when they're completely not getting it, and you have to just come out of that road and start again going on a completely different road, or they're understanding a bit of it but not all of it, so then you kind of move your language in a way to try and make sure that they're controlling their ideas and their delivery as best as they can through the language that you speak. Golf coaching for me is delivering measured facts as close as I can get them with the money I can spend. And then it's about really trying to work out and help that student play better golf through language, through humour, through telling them off, there's many different ways of doing it, through encouragement, through self-discovery. And that's the skill of the coach. It's not these machines. These machines just literally give me numbers, which I can choose to tell the student or not. As long as that student is improving their numbers, their ball strike, their direction, then it's me making them better. This is just giving me measured numbers. It'd be like saying, will the tape measure ever overtake the builder? No. That tape measure is just giving them data to know how far they need to cut this bit of wood, or how high up this wall needs to go. It's a measuring device. So my skill as a coach, I believe, and I've spoken to lots of good coaches who believe the same, it's about their interpretation of the data, not the data. Hope that helps. So let's go into some live questions. We're going to start in let me just refresh my Twitter feed here, and I'm just going to pick one at random there. I'm not reading that one. We're going to go straight into the chat to see what people are saying. Let's see if anyone's got a good question in the chat. No one in my area uses launch monitors to teach. What should I do? Jamie Hawkins. That's a common question, and I really don't know the answer. I mean, I used to travel miles, 2 hours for my lessons once a month. I went to where my coach was that I believed in and trusted in and those kind of things. So maybe just travel as far as you can to get with someone who can't. There are lots of good coaches who won't use launch monitors as well. You just got to find a coach that works for you, really. But for me, I would be travelling to find mine. Okay, Mark, I am a 17-year-old, I think you're saying, free handicapper, and want to become a golf coach. Where do I start? That's a good question. You need to start with the PGA. Go on to the PGA.info. They've got all the info on what you need to do qualifications that I've got and did years ago that will allow you to go and teach at many, if not all, major golf clubs around the world. They're kind of recognise that qualification. So let's get into Twitter, see if there's anything good in Twitter. Having a lesson now with both Full Golf Alignment Coach Logger using GC2, I think makes a huge difference. Changes thinking. AGG Live, that was Stevie. Yes, thanks to Stevie. I get a lot of students who come to me who've had a lot of lessons and are always amazed at how quick, when we're using the tech and giving them measured advice, how quickly they can improve, change their ideas around swing and their feelings. That's a common response. Okay, here's another question. Let's see if we can hit this one up that we got here. Oh, come back. There we go. Is having the old range-based lesson dead, or should we go indoors on launch monitors? Enjoying live days. Good question. It's not dead, and this is an interesting point as well, I think, which lots of people kind of totally misunderstood when Justin Rose talked about not using Trackman so much anymore, not chasing zeros anymore. How often, well, let's hear the chatters comment here and on Twitter. Come on, let's hear you. How often do you think I am testing myself on my own GC2 HMT? Go on, post comments. How often do you think, there's a slight delay on these feeds, so we'll wait for them to come through. How often am I going on and checking my numbers? What do you reckon? Come on, let's hear some comments. What have we got? Anyone going to post? Slight delay, so I'm going to tell you because I can see it's just switched there. I go on it hardly ever. Literally, if I've got a question in my own head of why I might be hitting one shot, I barely go on them. I know my numbers. I know my delivery. For me, I am working much more in feel terms. I'm working more in ideas of where I'm starting the ball, whatever the idea might be at the time. If you start going on these machines all the time, chasing the perfect numbers, that is not how you play good golf. We could go on once a month. Here we go, every month, rarely, once a week, twice a month. Don't know, you already know. Twice a month, once a year, before every vlog. I never do it before every vlog. Absolutely. Playing good golf is not about delivering perfect numbers. When I play good golf, which is very rarely at the minute nowadays, if you watch any of the vlogs, you'll notice that we are changing our numbers constantly. I'm changing my club head speed. I'm changing my dynamic loft, knocking it down, knocking it up, hitting more of a draw around a tree, a low cut. I'm going to hit this one hard. I'm going to pack this one down the middle. I'm playing golf. I get a base mark from these machines. I might practice with a few. I demo every club, and then that gives me some ideas of where my numbers are. But I am not on them all the time. And any students who come to me on a regular basis, we check their numbers, but we're really going over things that we've kind of talked about a lot before. I'm not chasing numbers on a machine. And when Justin Rose said that, the whole world were like, oh, look, Trackman's rubbish now. Launch models are rubbish. Not even Justin's using it, and he used to use it. You can get too number intensive for your own game and forget feel, which is still a massive part of this game. Anyone who watches my live lessons, listen to the language I use with students. So your face is 4 open to a path and you're too far up or whatever it is, and then I start saying things like, why don't you just try and turn your wrist a little bit more? Why don't you try and move your left hip up a little bit? See, I use some really simple terms to try and move the numbers through kind of like a database of phrases I've got, kind of relating to certain types of people that I know if I say that, they will often move the numbers in a more efficient way to get their desired ball flight. So, very good question there. I hope that one helps. What else have we got here? Everyone's now asking. That's a picture one, so I can't do that one. Let's find another one here. Okay, what's this one saying? Hi Mark, can lessons be as good without tech? We've kind of answered that one. They can, but I would always, anyone I care about, I'd be asking them to get on tech, really. Let's take another one from Twitter as well here. I kind of answered that one. What tech would you recommend for amateurs' own use? Well, the best bit of tech I would recommend for amateurs' own use, things like Game Golf. This is better than any of you guys trying to work out what you're doing right and wrong yourselves, I often find. Game Golf, for me, I think is one of the best bits of tech that you can use. Okay, here's another question as well. What do you think of David Lebede's A-swing he's promoting? Good question. I think the kind of clues in the question there as well, isn't it? What do you think of the A-swing that he is promoting? Yeah, see where I'm going with that one? Yeah, it's great. I'm just not a great fan of systems in coaching. I'm sure it's great and I'm sure it's brilliant. I haven't done enough research into it really to have a proper answer. But yeah, do we need a system of movement? I'm not sure we do. Okay, another question here. Aaron Adams, is dynamic loft of plus 14 good? What club? That's a common question, that. Dynamic loft for each club is going to be different. Trying to say, is this one better than that one with this club? I don't know. I don't know what club you're using. Don't know. Mark, you think the Sam Putting Lab is worth it, or do you think putting is more feel? That's a great question coming from the chat. E. Doherty. I love Sam Putt Lab. I love doing lessons on Sam Putt Lab. And if you use Sam Putt Lab well, it's all about feel. It just gives you some ideas of how they're delivering the face. So Sam Putt Lab is basically a launch monitor for putting. So it's a little thing, some of you might have seen it in some of my lessons. It tells you many things. Dynamic loft, face the path of the putter, speed of the putter, acceleration rates. It gives you a lot of data which allows you to really see. I can really see why some putters are good and some putters are bad. Very interesting. Me, Matt and Steve all did an evening on it when we were testing some putters, and Steve's numbers, face the path and face, was good as mine and Matt, so he would deliver the face almost zero to the target line, which is what you'd want to do, point the face where you want the ball to go, but he was not as good at controlling the speed of the putter, which really showed, I think, for me, where he loses his ability to putt maybe as well as me or Matthew. Okay, Mizuno made. Mark, can a golf shop crank up the machines to give you better or longer numbers? Well, I can't comment for golf clubs or people selling clubs there, but yeah, I would argue some might do. Or I think it was much more that they don't understand the numbers. The biggest one I struggle with is the lie number. So how the club lies, dynamic lie as you hit the ground. I get a lot of students come who have got some pretty amazing custom fit clubs, upright or flat, subject to their delivery. I changed their dynamic lie in a lesson. I've changed some by 6 degrees. A manufacturer would only change lie by 2 or 4 degrees at the most. So I get some funny lie ones sometimes. Just going to take a drink. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to take a few more questions. Mark, why is it that I can only hit a driver with a 12-degree loft? That's a good question. I get that one a lot. Possibly because of the dynamic loft that you deliver. So what these machines do, which is great, is they deliver a dynamic loft, or they give you a measurement of what loft you actually deliver. So many people show me a loft on the driver and say, is that correct for me? Well, until I see what loft you deliver, I have no idea. Vijay US PGA Tour player, Tour winner, I think uses a 13-degree static loft driver. Is that right for a Tour Pro? Well, it is for his delivery. Handle forward, strong grip, so hands twisted and then handle forwards delivery, taking loft off. So he's starting with lots of loft. Here's a great question. Jamie Hawkins, can you explain the term underneath it? No, I can't, Jamie. I wish I could. I kind of could explain what people think they're saying when they say that term, but often it's very misinterpreted, and it kind of relates to swing playing, which I've done lots of bits on Facebook about. It's a term that I do really struggle with because amateurs completely misunderstand it. Maybe we'll do an evening on that just to try and clear it up. Any more tips on lag putting? I've got some videos coming up on that soon, so maybe look out for those. Let's do a couple more questions here. Puma my cat but bangs. What do you think? Have you ever tested Caddy on? No. Why do you use GC2? I answered that one earlier, David. Watch the video back when it's finished. Are you really enjoying your beverage, Mark? Let's sip my liquid. Yes, it was nice actually. Thank you very much. Let's see if we can find another launch model question. Let's go into Twitter as the chat talks about beverages. Okay, here's a good question. We're going to have a couple of questions to finish. Mark, how often do you gap test? Loving the live shows. Thank you. Thanks for everyone who watches the live shows. I don't gap test that much. I need to actually gap test I haven't gap tested my H5 irons, Mizunos, that I'm using from my JPXs. I'm not finding a massive problem when I play, but I would like to just tighten the gaps up. I've actually got a new loft of gap wedge going in my bag, which a video might reveal tomorrow, which I will need to just gap test on as well. So I kind of gap test much more around if there's something when I'm playing that's going really wrong, something that I'm just not understanding why that's going that distance. Otherwise, if anything's going out is, I'd never go on these machines. I wouldn't check anything. I'd just keep playing. I'd use my feel. Here's a good question. Joel, I think he's saying, this equipment, isn't it always helpful, is it? Maybe for golfers that understand the whole swing and dynamics. What do you think? Joel, great question. Absolutely 100% do not agree. It's great for all golfers who understand how to work with a coach. So it's up to the coach to make sure you understand what they're telling you via hopefully some measured facts. They don't even have to show you the numbers if you don't want. As long as your statements are built around some real positive fixes around some actual facts. To give you an example, I have students who come back and we stop their video swing as their club kind of parallel to the ground and it's behind them. You know, it's not in the textbook position. And they're swinging a club path, say, of 0, and they want to hit a straight shot. So 0 is straight. That's pretty good, isn't it? And you say to them, they say, look, that's not right, is it, that backswing? And I say, okay, it's not right. Why is it not right? What might be the problem with it? What might that affect? They say, oh, surely that's going to affect club path, isn't it, if I swing it behind me? Well, we've measured you of 0, so it's not going to. So, you know what I mean? Pretty pictures can be very misleading when they think you're going to swing in a certain way, where these machines just give you some clarity of actually what is happening. GC2, Trackman, all of them do the same. So yeah, I think anyone can benefit from going on these. Maybe the way the information is delivered will change, subject to, and again this goes back to my original point, the student's understanding. You've got to be able to deliver your message in a way that the student understands. It's the only real thing you're trying to do as a coach. There are so many tappers out there who think there's a right and a wrong way of teaching. That's wrong that way, or that's not right. You wouldn't teach that. Why have you not fixed that? If the player is getting better and reaching their goals, then that lesson is good. With a monitor, without one, as long as the player is improving. That's, as a coach, the main goal. And people who don't coach often miss that point. Here we go. Let's go one last question to finish then. Let's pick a good one. Here we go. This is a good question. What was your modern day golf tech breakthrough moment? My modern day golf tech breakthrough moment was understanding club delivery in 3 dimensions. Getting rid of the 2D flat screen line drawing angles stuff that really just is so unfactually true for lots of golfers. Trying to help golfers in the 3-dimensional world that they move around in, rather than that flat 2D screen, has been a massive breakthrough for me. And like I say, I do thank people like Trackman for allowing me to understand so much more in 3 dimensions, because the professional world was never trying to push that boundary. The professional world was happy. We were all just happy teaching our cliches, getting our lessons through, and not really pushing the boundaries. I take my hat off to those companies who really allowed coaches like me and other great coaches out there to just kind of push the boundaries of their understanding. So for me, it was understanding club delivery in 3 dimensions, and it's an exciting thing to do. And I love it when students still come through now, and you'll see it in the live lessons as much as I post them. They're so stuck in that 2D world, and it's great just to try and help them really understand that kind of that understanding of their swing in those 3 dimensions, and you see the breakthroughs so quickly. It's great. I love it. Right, guys, there we go. Tech in golf coaching. It's been fun. Thanks for everyone who's posted comments, Twitter. I know I haven't got through all of them. Thanks for everyone who posted those pictures at the start. Some great pictures from people there who obviously are watching. If you want to get involved with the show, always use the hashtag AGGLive. There's going to be loads more live feeds. I've said it before. If anyone wants to send me pictures, things they should be on the show, hole-in-ones, great shots, moments in their golf, I'll try and include as much as I can, just to make sure that you guys feel I want this show to be as much yours as it is mine, like I said the other night as well. So thanks all for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next AGG Live, which will be coming very shortly. Thank you. Speak to you later.